Mazzolo. Today we are going to be learning the drum part to Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone. This video is part of a series, and in this series we are going to be teaching you the guitar part and the keyboard part to this piece as well. This video series is created for a project through UMass Lowell's music education program, and we hope you enjoy it. For this video, you will need a pair of drumsticks and a drum set. If you don't have a drum set at home, you can use some household items to replace the parts that we're going to be using. Okay, so first let's get into talking about some basic drum set technique. So the first thing that we're going to talk about are our sticks. We're going to be using a match grip today, so we're going to be holding our sticks the same way in both hands. Let's talk about how we're going to hold each stick individually. So I use a T grip. So think about your thumb is the straight line, the straight up and down line of the T, and then your pointer finger is going to be the line that's crossing your T at the top. You're going to put your thumb straight on your stick, and your pointer finger is going to come across your thumb, making a T shape. So this is how you're going to be gripping your stick. Now let's talk about where. You're going to want to find the fulcrum point on your stick, and that's a fancy word for basically the place where your stick is going to ricochet and bounce the best when you're hitting your drums. Now here's an example of me trying to find the fulcrum point on my stick. So here's a little bit too far in the middle. Now here's a little bit too far back. Now let's try a little bit further. Not quite in the middle, but not quite at the end. So that's about where my fulcrum point is going to be, and try to find that on your stick. Alright, great. So let's start by learning the drum set part to this verse pattern. Here we go. So listen first. In the first measure of this pattern, the bass drum goes. The next measure of this pattern is. Now hear these two measures together, starting at the beginning. Now let's play it together a couple times. So 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, great. So now let's add the hi-hat part. The hi-hat part is super easy for this because it is just going to be playing on eighth notes for the entire pattern. Here's what it sounds like. So let's try to combine the hi-hat and the bass drum part. Really slowly, let's break this down. Start with your hi-hat. Now let's add the bass drum. If you're having some trouble putting these two parts together, just go back and forth and try adding them over and over again. So what I mean by that is just do the hi-hat for a while, don't add anything. And once you feel like you can play this hi-hat part in your sleep, like you got it, then add the bass drum. The last part of this is going to be adding in the snare drum. So let me describe to you where the snare drum is going to be placed. It's happening on beat 2 and beat 4 of each measure. So what we're going to do is first establish our hi-hat and bass drum pattern, and then try to add in the snare on 2 and 4 when you feel like you're ready. So let's try that together. Start with the hi-hat. Let's add bass drum. Now let's add the snare drum. Let's play that a little bit slower. Because it is only a one measure pattern, it's not two measures that kind of loops around like the verse does. So to start, we're going to be incorporating our crash cymbal for this pattern, so make sure that you have one at the ready. If you don't have a crash cymbal, something that represents a crash cymbal, whether that's, a music stand or something near you that you can hit and have it act like a crash cymbal. So our crash cymbal in this pattern is going to be playing on each beat of the measure. So it's going to be playing on 1, 2, 3, and 4, like this. So if our tempo's here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So that's what the crash cymbal is going to be doing. Pretty simple. And to make things even easier, the first measure of the verse is going to be the same exact pattern as the chorus for our bass drum and our snare drum. Alright, so let's really slowly play these two parts combined, our snare drum and our bass drum, and very slowly integrate the crash cymbal. Let's try adding our crash cymbal. Okay, once you feel like you have that part included, let's try to speed this up a little bit. So one more time. 1, 2, ready, go. Add the crash cymbal. Let's talk about the bridge. So for the drum part, the bridge has a couple different components. It's going to be broken into about 4 sections. Each of these sections is really simple because for the most part it uses material that we've already learned. So the first 8 measures is going to be a very similar pattern than one we just played previously in the chorus. Our snare and our bass drum are going to be doing the exact same thing. So now it's going to turn into more of a 2-measure pattern like the verse was, where we are going to play the crash cymbal on one of every other measure. So it's going to sound like this. So the next part of the bridge is going to include 2 measures of silence. So after we play this part where we have crash cymbal on one of every other measure, we're going to wait for 2 measures. After our 2 measures of silence, we're going to play something very easy for 2 measures. All we're going to do is just the bass drum and the snare on its own. And we're going to follow the same pattern that we've been using for the chorus and that we just used for the bridge. Now let's go into this last part of the bridge. So the last 4 measures of the bridge is going to include our low tom. So let me show you what we're going to do a little bit closer. There's going to be an accent on 1, an accent on the and of 2, and an accent on 4. Let me play this for you so you can hear it. Alright, great. So now that we learned each of those sections, let's really briefly talk about the form. For the most part, the form is going to be in the PDF that is in the description down below. Just to save this video some time so we don't have to break down each section and how many measures are in those sections, just make sure you have that PDF up on your screen, and that's going to show you how many times we're going to repeat through each of these sections. And let's play through this song together.